everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. I'm Prasham Kadhari, and I've got Joe with me to talk about Leeds United. By the way, Joe's got a new channel, Just Joe Football Show. Check that out. The links are in the description below. Give him a subscribe. Give us a subscribe. Show us some love. We're nice people. Joe, Leeds United promoted this season. The other two promoted teams are back to the championship. First of all, how happy are you just to be in the Premier League for another year after all these years?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I always thought we would do well. Top half was always the aim. It's been amazing. We were the best newly promoted side since like 2001, 2, I think, Ipswich maybe at the time, but scored the most goals for a newly promoted side. I think now as well, like, previously teams come up from the Championship and will they be as good as Wolves? I think that's now changed to will they be as good as Leeds? We've set the bar high. Admittedly, Wolves got European football, but I think the league maybe was a lot different then. That's why we ended where we did. But look, we were only 3 wins away from Champions League football, and for a newly promoted side, that's a big thing. So yeah, I'm excited to get going again. Naturally, people will say second season syndrome. Look what Sheffield United did. So naturally, there'll be a lot of that thrown Leeds' way before the season starts. But we'll be fine. We've got Marcelo Bielsa. We've got a good director of football. We'll have a good summer, and I think we'll just go from strength to strength.
Yeah, Joe, all jokes aside, I was expecting Leeds to finish in the top half, and I think you're absolutely right about that. There are a couple of reasons that I'm going to point out, and then you can tell me if I'm right, completely wrong, and add to it. Number one, you've got Marcelo Bielsa, of course, but I'm going to come to him a little bit later. I want to talk about the owners because that's the kind of climate we are in. How good does it feel to have owners that actually care about the club? And was that a decisive thing in ensuring that you'll finish in the top half? Because if you think about it, the teams that are in the top half, there are about 3 or 4 teams that are absolutely at war with their owners. Yeah. So how does that play out as a Leeds fan, but coming from that city?
Yeah, it's really big because we've had our number of bad owners. Let's not forget we were relegated from the Premiership after overspending. Ended up in League One. We had a guy called Cellino in the Championship who didn't pass the fit and proper persons test for the league, and he was in court and stuff. And we've had our fair share of bad owners, so it's actually quite refreshing to not have that anymore and see other clubs like yourselves have these issues with their owners, and we're like, we're comfortable for a change. It's like even the Rafinha thing. Yeah, Liverpool fans saying they're going to get Rafinha. We've seen Man United fans saying they're going to get Rafinha. Previous seasons, that might well have been the case because Leeds would have had to sell. It's not like that now. We're in a real stable condition. Radrazani obviously set the ball in motion in getting Bielsa. They give him everything he wants. The director of football, Victor Orta, works very closely with him. And we have such a good group, a good core group from players, staff, all the way up to the owners, And we've just recently brought on board the 49ers, and they're investing, and they're on about expanding the stadium. It's just really, really good at the minute to be a Leeds United fan, and I'm quite enjoying the disarray that's going on at some other clubs as opposed to mine for a change,
Right. See, that's the thing, Joe. We aren't happy with second place. It's good to be a Leeds United fan when you're 10th. That's just the minor difference.
Great comeback.
But Joe, let me ask you this on a more serious note. You said that the benchmark is set as to Leeds being the team that's promoted to the Championship, the performance. I actually want to say I disagree with you. I think the benchmark has been set that Leeds being promoted and playing the brand of football coming from the Championship. Because a lot of teams come into the Premier League and try to park the bus and, eke out those 1-0 wins. Whereas Leeds come into the Premier League, first game against Liverpool, and you're like, we don't care. So how has Bielsa been able to do that coming into the league? Because let's not make two bones about it. It's a difficult league to play in. So how have you seen that evolution as a Leeds fan?
Yeah, I mean, look, we came up with a certain brand of football. Our fitness is second to none. I think we're the fittest team in the division. I think the ending to the season showed that, especially when you also put into perspective that we've done that since minute one. It's not as if we've had a break and then, oh, we've suddenly changed our style at the back end. We've done that from game one to game 38, and we were still the fittest team for me. You know, we were second only to Liverpool in the last 10 games in the form table, you know, losing only one game. And there's been some, obviously now the season's finished, a lot of analytics put forward, and there's a page where there's a cluster of 19 teams for sprints down here, and then Leeds are up here for sprints per 90, sprints distance per 90, and we're just way off the chart. So obviously that has a lot to do with it, the fact of how fit we are. Now, naturally, when we came up with Bielsa, we had a certain style that has switched slightly towards the back end of the season. We came a little bit more conservative, I would say, because if you look at the early parts of the season, the Liverpool game, the Man City game, they were very much like basketball matches. You know, it was very much we'll score more than you kind of vibe. And then we came against your lot and we got beat 6-2, and it was very much. What frustrated me as a Leeds fan is that we were getting praise, but we'd just been battered 6-2. I didn't like that. And I know a lot of opposing fans didn't like that because they would say, oh, it doesn't matter because they played well. Do you know what I mean? But as a fan, I did not like getting beat 6-2 by Manchester United, never. But we did see a slight tweak. And you'll notice in the back end of the season, we beat Spurs, we drew with Views, we beat City, we drew with Liverpool, and then games changed because he made these little slight tactical tweaks. Obviously, Dallas getting played in midfield was a big part of that as well. But I think with a lot of Leeds fans, we want to see what's going to happen next season. Will he go back to his tried and tested method that we started with, or will he play this more conservative? Is it conservative though, really, on the face of it? More transitional, I guess, than in the first part of the season. But it'd be interesting to see how Bielsa takes it on, because obviously we had a lot more positive results towards the back end. But with better additional players that we're looking to bring in, will he go back to that gung-ho style, that basketball match kind of tactic? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, hope that answers your question.
You answered 3 questions I was going to ask you.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
About how the midway through the season, Bielsa switched to being more defensive. Yeah. I was going to ask you what he's going to do next season, but you've already covered all of that. I wonder why you had to mention y'all went 38 games without any break and yet could maintain the fitness levels. I don't know if it's anything to do with certain comments that were made in winning the championship. But
because of
I'll leave that out completely. But you mentioned Stuart Dallas, who is of course an incredibly important player for both FPL managers and Bielsa. Incredibly important player. I don't know if there's a position that he didn't play throughout the season. So absolutely important. Calvin Phillips was another one. Rafinha was another one. These 3, I think, completely stood out. But I want to mention 2 players, and I want your views on that. One is Patrick Bamford. Scored a truckload of goals, considering that he's a promoted striker, never been in the limelight. But do you really think, A, were you happy with his performance? And B, do you really think he's the man going into next season? Or is Rodrigo more primed to take that role in a sense?
Yeah. So, first part, ask me again. Let me answer that part first of all.
Are you happy with Patrick Bamford? Even though he scored a lot of goals, he's missed, equal amounts or maybe even more.
Look, I am happy with Bamford. Was I surprised with the way that he attacked the Premier League and got as many goals as he did? Yes. I'd be lying if I didn't say so. There was a period of time in the Championship where I didn't want him at my football club. And I'll not be afraid to say that. That's just, football's fickle. We have ups and downs. I'm not afraid to say it. He had a poor performance the season we didn't get up, and I was like, wipe my hands of him. He's now changed my opinion. And that's what it should be about, right? I want whoever pulls on that shirt of my football club, I will support them, whatever. You know, it is what it is. I'm never going to be booing them in the grounds like you see some people. That's not my style. But we have a right as football fans to be able to critique players. You know, that I hate when people say, he's Leeds, you should support him, whatever. Yeah, but I do, but we're allowed to critique them. So did I think he would do as well as he did? No. Did many fans, if they said they did, they're lying, in my opinion, right? But when he came up, he's been amazing. I'm happy with him, yes, not just on the pitch for what he does, because he gives us a lot more than just goals. But he's an awesome human as well. Like he's a great person, genuinely. The stuff that he does in the community, which is always nice. You know that yourself with Marcus Rashford. It adds to it, yeah? It makes you love them a little bit more. The true acid test is next season. Because we have seen so many, time after time, players come, have an amazing season. Can they replicate it? That's the thing. Who can forget? I don't know if you remember a guy called Michu at Swansea.
Miguel Michu.
Yeah. He scored loads of goals and then he ended up playing in the Spanish third division or something. Now, I'm not saying Bamford's going to be anything like that, but it's just an example to use. I think the real acid test for Bamford is, can he be consistent? If he was to go out and put the same numbers again, then yes, of course. And I think when you speak about him missing a lot of chances, for me, and I've said this before on my show, if you were to get someone that does everything that Patrick Bamford does and takes all the chances, you're talking 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound because of everything that he brings to the game. So naturally, he's not perfect. If he was, would he be at Leeds United? Probably not, you know. I am happy. However, there was a case where, this is the second part of your question, where do we need another striker? Because Rodrigo Moreno wasn't having a great season, but Rodrigo Moreno had COVID. He came in late. In order to be fully up to speed with Bielsa, you need a full pre-season. We've seen this. Every player that came in at Leeds since when Bielsa came in, they always got better second season when they'd had a full season of working his methods, because naturally it takes a lot. He takes a lot out of players. He demands a lot. But we've seen towards the back end of the season, Rodrigo really come into form. I think he got 4 goals possibly in like 5 games, a couple of assists. His record, it was like, okay, we're now starting to see the Rodrigo we thought we bought. So I'm now, as a fan, thinking we don't need another number 9. We don't need someone. We've got 2 there now. I think Bamford, it's going to be difficult for him to replicate it, but if not, he's going to have some really stiff competition next season for me and Rodrigo Moreno. So I'm happy with both options. If it means that Rodrigo gets in front of Bamford, then he'll have done it on merit, because Bielsa doesn't bring players in and on a name just put them straight in. Oh, Rodrigo's our highest ever signing. He plays for Spain. Right, he can start. Doesn't work like that. You know, you spoke about Dallas. Technically, he's not great, but he does everything that Bielsa asks. Now, during the transfer, we're going to bring in a natural centre midfielder. It could be Rodrigo de Paul. It could be someone we spend a lot of money on. But ultimately, they will have to oust Stuart Dallas first, you know? No one's getting in this side based on him.
And if they do, Dallas will play at right back because he can play anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dallas is the perfect player to have in the squad, right? Because he can play anywhere. So
yeah. But also, Joe, you know, you were talking about Bamford in the community. I hear he can speak in 6 languages, and that's something of a novelty in Leeds anyway.
It's a novelty to speak the English, mate. That's it.
I didn't want to go there, but you did, so I'm glad. But Joe, again, getting back to more seriousness, because that's that kind of a show. Jack Harrison, I think he flew under the radar. I know Rafinha played, fewer number of games than Harrison.
Yes.
But whenever I saw Harrison play, he seemed like a player that was out there to get a job done, and there was some serious quality, and I think he flew under the radar. What are your views on him and the situation with Manchester City, and how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jack Harrison. I think he is massively underrated, not only amongst opposing fans, but Leeds fans. Leeds fans, massively underrate him. He was second only to Bruno Fernandes for numbers from midfield in terms of goals and assists. He was the best English midfielder for goals and assists over the season. So that shows you, I mean, to be honest, he should have been in the England setup. He should have at least been considered, but he wasn't because he is underrated. Do I think, look, at the end of the day, we've got Foden, we've got Grealish, we've got Sancho. I get it. But what I'm saying, for him not to be in that conversation, I thought was a little bit bad anyway. But the thing with City, he's officially our player, although unofficially he isn't. Like, we've already got an agreement in place with them. We were supposed to sign him last summer for 8 million. But because we were obviously buying other players, we've moved it on to this season.
That's my question. Do you think after the performance he's put in, will you yet get him for the same price? And would City even extend the loan possibly and not sell him at all?
No, so the agreement's already in place for this season for 11 million. So because we've sort of gone, we can't sign him this, we'll sign him next. The agreement's from 8 to 11, 10 or 11 between that. So the agreement's already in place. So when the transfer window opens, we fully expect to sign him, first signing done. Obviously last season there was other key areas we need to fulfill. So we've said, City, can we push it on a year? We're willing to pay the extra. Yes, that's fine. But he is our player. You know, I see some people who say, oh, maybe City will keep him and stuff, but that can't happen. He's ours, you know, he's already ours.
Right. So now, before I sort of move into sort of who you need to sign, I just want to give a couple of shout outs that you could again correct me. I thought Ilan Meslier, first of all, we need to clear this up. That guy's not 27, 28. He's incredibly young, even though his head might look like that.
Yeah.
But
he's got the deepest voice you will ever hear as well. Yeah. It's so deep.
Yeah. So Meslier, I think Meslier, however you pronounce that, had a fantastic season. Luke Ayling was again another very good player for you. But I want to come back to Rafinha. Do you realistically see? I know you said that at the start, and I'm asking you again. But if a Manchester United or a Liverpool come knocking, do you see Rafinha moving on? Because he could be, if Manchester United don't get Jadon Sancho, Rafinha could be the ideal player there.
Yeah, not this season. Not concerned. One bit. You know, I did a video on my channel. Make sure you check it out, guys. Just saying this though, because Rafinha loves Leeds at the minute. We love him. He's really grateful that Leeds United took the opportunity on him when maybe other clubs maybe thought, let's wait till we see a bit more of him. We took that opportunity. I think he'll want to play a full season with the fans, you know, but Leeds ownership have already come out and said we want to follow the Leicester model. Yeah. So I'm aware of this. The fan base is aware of this. So naturally what will happen is we have to move players on, speculate to accumulate. Let's not forget we paid 17 million for Rafinha. Next season, if he has another season, would I be worried then? Yes. But not this. If he has another season and puts in the performances and numbers that he did this, then we can command 50, 60, 70. We only paid 17 million for him. You mentioned Meslier just briefly before, you know. I think he'll be France's number one. I do. He's that good. He's 21. He broke the clean sheet record for anyone of that age, beating Joe Hart. Let's not forget, Joe Hart was playing in the Manchester City side that was winning Premier League titles. Yeah. He was playing in this Leeds side that was conceding loads of goals and still broke the record. So he's another one. We paid 5 million for him. Now, goalkeepers of his quality are hard to find. You know, let's not forget, Chelsea paid 70 million for Kepa. So in a couple of seasons, Meslier could also be another one that moves on, you know. Like, I keep saying to our fans, Rafinha's our Mahrez, you know. Like, look what Leicester did. So, yes, I think he will move on eventually if Leeds don't get into Europe, but not this season. So anyone who's thinking this season it won't happen, but I'm that confident. But next season, then, yeah, I would be a little bit worried, yeah.
Right. So if Rafinha is the Mahrez, maybe you hope that Meslier is the Schmeichel. But of course, he won't be lifting the Premier League, so that's another thing. But
wait, you never know.
But a big summer is sort of ahead of everyone. Obviously, the Euros are there, and Calvin Phillips is going to be a part of that setup. And quite honestly, he's a fantastic player, so I want to see what he can do at that stage. But I'm not going to ask you about the Euros. Maybe that's another show as well. Yeah. But what do you make of Leeds' summer ahead in terms of signings? Do you see any big players moving out? You've already said Rafinha no, Harrison no. And who would you want to come in? A couple of positions, a couple of players?
Yeah. I don't see any big leave. No one will leave Leeds. I don't think. No one big anyway. I think when you think about the players that could, maybe Bamford, but I don't think he would. KP or Phillips, no. Rafinha, no. Melia, no. That's it really, isn't it? There's no one else who's looking at Leeds and going, "Oh, we really want him." I think it is what it is because Stuart Dallas, Hailing, they're amazing players. I love them. Could they go to another big club and do what they do at Leeds? Probably not. It's because of Bielsa
Just
and the
like
system.
certain Ferdinand and Cantona weren't able to, but go on.
Good man, good man. But yeah, look, we need additions. We need a left back. We need a left back. Jani Alioski's not a natural left back, so we need a proper left back. We've been linked with a number of left backs, but the one that seems the most promising at the minute is a guy called Javi Galan from Huesca. They were relegated from the Liga, but his numbers, he was second only to Lionel Messi for dribbles last season in La Liga, and he's a left back, He's ideal for what we want. And apparently his release fee is between 3.5 million, but this is what Leeds are very good at, So not a lot of people know him, but he seems to be the one. So Javi Galan at left back. We've also been linked with a guy called Matthias Kuna from Hertha Berlin. All our wingers are left-footed. All of them. We don't have a right-footed winger. And I believe Bielsa would like a right-footed winger, cut in, get a shot off like Rafinha does, So we need a right-footed winger. We've looked at Kent, we've looked at Kuna. Kent's from Liverpool, plays at Rangers. So we need a right-footed winger, and I think we'll get that done. And we also need a midfielder because Click's had his issues. Dallas, again, as I say, I love Dallas, and I honestly worship the guy, the ground he walks on, but his technical ability isn't great, and naturally we have to improve season on season on season. So we need to bring in an 8, a high 8, to obviously Pablo Hernandez has moved on. So who that is, I'm not sure. Like, we were interested in Rodrigo de Paul last summer. It never happened. Now he's being linked with Atletico Madrid for 45 million. We're not getting him. So we need to find someone of that ilk to play in midfield. And to be honest, loads of names get linked, but it's all ITK nonsense at the minute, We're getting told, sign Michy Batshuayi, Chelsea. We don't want Michy Batshuayi. It's because he played for Bielsa under Marseille. All them really lazy journalism links at the minute that you have to deal with. But I think we'll get 3, and I think it will be left back, midfielder, and a right-footed winger. I think they will be the 3, but they'll be of good quality.
Yeah, after having taken so many quality players off you in the past, we'd like to offer you Fred if you want a centre midfielder.
Mate, I've seen you linked to Harry Winks. What?
Yeah, let's move on. But 10th place, 3 wins away from a Champions League spot, as you said.
9th.
Do you realistically think Champions League is a possibility next season, or would Europa be a good accomplishment on Bielsa's part?
Yeah, Europe in any form. I'd take the Europa Conference. Do you know what I mean? I would take anything. Look, it's going to be difficult. I think the main thing is for me is next season, Liverpool are going to be very, very strong. Van Dijk and Konate at the back, they're probably not going to concede a lot of goals. Chelsea, Tuchel's going to bring in his own players. They're going to be very, very strong. Man City, they're going to be strong. So Arsenal, they'll have a clear out. Will Tottenham
come on, let's not get ahead of us.
But you know what I'm saying though, right? Yeah. Everyone else is going to improve next season, so it's going to be a lot harder for everyone. And I'm going to make this bold prediction now on this podcast. You won't like it, but if Manchester United persists with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they will not get in the top 4 next season. I believe that. I believe. Why aren't they going for Conte? Why?
I don't.
shoulders, bro. All his shoulders in that Europa League final. The guy is not up to it, man.
I want to say many things on this, but I'm going to restrain myself. Whether I agree with you, disagree with you, I am not going to comment. Maybe you're right, maybe you aren't. We'll know next season.
We should have a charity bet that Man United don't get in the top 4, and I'll say that Leeds United will get European football. We should have a bet.
Let's do it. Let's put £10 on it.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
But let's talk a little bit about Marcelo Bielsa. I was going to say the great Marcelo Bielsa, and I think I can say that, even though I'm a United fan and people apparently think it's not fashionable to say Bielsa or Leeds play good football. They do. What do you make of Bielsa? I know we spoke about him in the past, and you said he's going to get a statue in the city, not in the club, in the city. But where does he go from here? The obvious next step is Europe, but you touched upon the style of football. That's what I'm more interested in. Where does he go from here?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it all depends on I guess the acquisitions that we make. All I know is, like, when I watch football now, so like I've just been watching a bit of the England game, and it bores me to tears. Sitting through the Europa League final, for example, that bored me to tears. Obviously, it had a good ending for me. Thank you, De Gea. Just saying. But my whole enjoyment of football has been ruined a little bit, because when I see other teams play, it's a yawn fest. It bores me. Whereas Leeds United and Bielsa, it is a totally different kettle of fish, man. It's just go from minute 1 to 90. It's expansive. It's beautiful, you know. So I guess he's just changed my whole outlook on football moving forward. It'll be interesting to see what we do next season. Like I say, we've got to get off to a good start. That's the main thing. And if that means that we are more conservative in the early parts just to get points on the board, then I'm okay with that, because as we've seen with Sheffield United, you know, and I'm not concerned. Their recruitment is what got them relegated. That's what was all wrong with them. But it could so quickly change. Like, we only beat them 1-0. It was such a tight game, and there was a key set. If they win that, does it change the course of the season 3 games in? You just don't know, do you? I think once things set in at a football club, it can quickly go. And, you know, it's going to be tough next season. If we start to lose early doors, then, second season syndrome. And then it sets in and everything's like, and all the fans are like, we're getting relegated. You know, there's so many things. But I think we'll be...
Sam comes in to save.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big one, though, mate. That is the big one, is when Bielsa goes, what do Leeds do? Because he's not going to be here forever.
That's actually my next question, Joe, because Bielsa does have a reputation of sort of leaving in ruin, in a sense. For all his sort of tactical ingenuity and brilliance, he does leave teams in ruin. And are you at all worried about that? If, let's say, you have a bad run of 10 games in the beginning of the season, would Bielsa then walk away?
You never know. You never know with him. This is the thing. This is the longest he's spent at a football club. A club football, longer than his Newell's. And that's his hometown club, you know, that's his club in his heart. So this is the longest he's ever been at a football club. Maybe discounting international Argentina, but you know what I mean? For club football, it's the longest he's been anyway. He's given everything that he's ever requested. I think a lot of the times when he's left certain football clubs, he's asked for certain things, they've promised him, and then they never give him, and he goes, I'm gone. Whereas at Leeds United, the owners and the director of football actually realise we've got a big guy here that probably shouldn't be at this football club. Do you know what I mean? So they give him what he wants and keep him happy. If things were to go sour, who knows? Like I say, if he ever thinks that it's not working, he will say, I can't do this anymore. They're not listening to me, or whatever. You know, I've took them as far as I can. But I think he's got that glint in his eye. He probably can see that next step is Europe, and that would be an amazing place for him to ride off into the sunset. But if he did get Europe, would he then want to say, I want to crack at Europe. So it all depends on where we go and if we improve year on year. I think the club are always looking at contingency plans because they know with Bielsa, he only signs 1 year rolling deal. They always have to be looking. I think they've looked at Steven Gerrard in the past. He plays some very good stuff with Rangers. Gabriel Heinze, who used to obviously play for your team. So I know that whatever happens, they will get the right man. Like you said, you can't go from Bielsa to Big Sam. It's going to end up one way, I always think about Stoke when they went from Tony Pulis to Mark Hughes and brought in all these technical footballers. Where are they now? They're relegated. Ultimately, you have to accept where you are as a football club, and we have to make sure whoever we get in next is the right appointment, Otherwise, then you never know. But yeah, he's God to me, so long may he stay.
But Joe, it could be worse than Big Sam. Imagine Southgate gets sacked and he comes and. Oh. Well, I don't need to say more, but but you've heard it from Joe, guys. I think we've covered everything there is to cover about Leeds. There's not more you can say about a team that finished 10th. So thank you, Joe, for
9th.
Sorry, 8th. Well,
was it? You've got me questioning it now. It was 9th, right?
I think it was 10th, wasn't it?
No, it was 9th. I'm going to check this. Wait there. You've made me... Let me have a look now. Where's the standings? 9th. Yeah.
9th. Sorry.
Yeah, I was right.
9th. Sorry. I stand corrected. Leeds finished 9th. Obviously,
it's more money for us, bro. It's more money.
Obviously, it's a fantastic season. After, I don't remember. Was it 15? You can correct me on this as well. It might be 16 years out of the Premier League.
Yeah.
16 years out of the Premier League. So a 9th place finish. Joe is of course happy, and the next step seems to be Europe. Bielsa seems to be staying. Rafinha seems to be staying. Everyone's going to stay at Leeds. And Leeds will finish 8th next season. So thanks, Joe, for coming on. Do check out his channel, Only Joe Football Show. The link's in the description. It was wonderful shooting with you as always, and we hope to see you soon. Subscribe to our channel as well. See you later. Bye-bye.